Hi everyone, I hope you're having a lovely day today. Esther here to continue with my gorilla. I'm just doing a bit of the light silver grey at the moment. And what I did with, so the grey that I used before was just black and white. I've mixed a bit of green in to bring a little bit of tone, not tone, that's the wrong word, just to bring a bit of interest into the colour scheme. I'll see how that turns out. So it's a slow one today. You'll notice the grey is a little bit different today. Now it's 5 o'clock already, and I didn't realise it was so late and the light is terrible. But I'm going to do a bit and record it for you. Let's see if I've got the right position here. So it's still grey, but it's got a touch of green in it, and it just makes it different and interesting. So we'll see how that goes. Enjoy today. And thank you for my subscribers. I really appreciate your comments while I wade through this work, and wade it is because it's big. Big. I measured it. It is 91 centimeters by 121 centimeters. Put a bit of my medium in. Just turpentine. Actually, I want to tell you a funny story. I started an arts degree at a university called UNISA in Pretoria, which is in South Africa. And it's mainly done by correspondence, and then once a week you can go in for a lecture or whatever. But a huge university, huge grounds. Very popular, and well, I started the thing before I emigrated to Australia. And we all know that the art community can talk absolutely. They can lay on the language and how fabulous things are when they're not fabulous at all. I did a lot of drawings and sculptures and things, and a lot of them I failed because they don't like you to do anything that's been done before, so it's quite difficult. So I like doing things realistically, and they didn't like that. Also, because it was a predominantly Afrikaans speaking university, and I'm English speaking, and had very little Afrikaans in my vocabulary. A little bit, but not much. And they refused to speak English a lot of the time. Real bitches, but anyway, that's another story. Because they're quite xenophobic, but be that as it may, the funny story is one of our homework, we had to design a sculpture, and there was some strange, they asked a question. You had to interpret that question and then make a sculpture. And it had to be big, and it had to consist of metal and welding, as it was going to be put up in the grounds of the university. Right, so I had this fantastic idea of, now the metal that I chose was approximately that thick, perhaps a bit thicker than that. So about finger thickness metal, squared metal. So not rounded, but squared metal. So I bought big metal bars, and I got them to spread it around. Just get a piece of paper so that you know what I'm talking about. So my idea was you cut the steel up, and then you bend it like that. That's how it was to be bent. So, and these were huge and heavy. And so we found a welding company, this friend of mine, and we gave all instructions to the company that was cutting the steel and so on, that is what I wanted. And back then at that university, not handing in an assignment was not acceptable. Nothing, there was no excuse that you could give that they would accept. You had to hand in an assignment, otherwise you failed. End of story. Anyway, so the day before it was due, my friend said, well, she's going to the shop to collect hers, and she'll collect mine at the same time. I said, fabulous, I'll see you later. So off she went to collect our sculptures, and when she got there, mine hadn't been done. So she said to the owner of the company, look, it's got to be done. It has to be. So she said, look, I'll wait for it to be welded. I'll just wait here till it's done. It was fair enough, okay. So she waited a while, and then he brought in this thing that had been welded, had given to some apprentice welder all these pieces of steel, and they said, just weld it together. They didn't give him instructions or anything like that. Just weld it together. So he just welded it together. So my idea was to transform all of these, welding them together in a way like this. So it came in a sort of arc, and you could almost walk through it like that. But he just welded them together in a pile of steel. It was just a big pile of steel, about 4 foot high, 4.5 foot high. She dropped it off and she explained that they hadn't done it, so she waited for them to do it. I said, but this is not what I wanted. She said, yeah, I know, but sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Just that's what it was. So I thought, Christ, what the hell am I going to do with this pile of rubbish? And there was no excuse you could give, as I said, no excuse. You had to hand it in, end of story. So I thought to myself, well, I'll have primary paint, oil paint in tins. So my idea was to turn this abomination around so it was just like that. So I'll look at it this side and paint those green, and then I'll turn around to there, next surface red, next surface green, next surface white. I thought, well, that's the best I can do on the fly. And so handing it in the next day, I was called first. Esther, we want you to explain your voucher and see if it covers our assignment question. And yep, so you need to tell the class now what this was all about. Oh my God, now I'm not much of a talker, so especially with this rubbish that they can talk. Oh my God, I don't talk such rubbish. But I thought, what can I do? So I stood up in front of this abomination and I spoke. And did I speak the biggest load of garbage that you can imagine? I said, if you notice here, special relation between the colours here, shining through the dark and the light. And you see the shadow cast on that colour as opposed to the shadow cast on this colour while you walk around to this side. And I blabbed on and on and on and on and on. I noticed a few of the students were getting up and following me around so that they could view what I was viewing. Oh my God, such garbage. And it was only my friend who knew I was talking shit. So, and I passed. Woohoo! I passed an assignment. Got a standing ovation. It covered all the points, which I can't even remember what the points were. And yeah, so goes to show what absolute crap a lot of these artists can talk about. A work, and you look at a work and you think, what the hell is that? I went to an exhibition. Somebody said I should enter an exhibition somewhere, and I said, no, I'm not interested in that rubbish. And I actually went to the show the next day to see what was hanging up, and there were some beautiful landscapes. Oh my gosh, absolutely beautiful, beautiful landscapes. And I'm thinking, oh, I wish I could paint like that. But the winner was pretend this is not there. There's a piece of paper like that. I think it stood there. And somebody had taken a brush with red paint and painted it like that. So it's blank canvas and big thick paint marks like that. Nice and straight. Look at the big fat paintbrush. And that was the window. The winner of this show. And I thought, this is the reason that I don't do it. I mean, it was laughable. So the people who had spent hours and hours with the most beautiful landscapes that you can imagine, lost to this stupid red zigzag down a page. How ridiculous. So there's a lot of that goes around. So I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the modern stuff is fantastic, but some of it's absolute garbage. In the university grounds, I was having my lunch one day in the grounds and eating my sandwich, and I'd sat on a bench that had grass on top. Oh, this is nice and comfortable. It turns out that I was sitting on one of the installations. It was the shape of a coffin, exactly the shape of a coffin. And had grass growing on top. So it was completely all just concrete, grey, with grass on top. And yeah, when I realised, because there was a plaque on it which said something, I don't know what the artist's name and what they'd paid to have it hanging there and whatnot. Jeez, what rubbish. But that was an installation in a university and they would have paid thousands to acquire it. I mean, for goodness sake. Anyway, that was my experience with these people. But I was proud to do it. Had some great people there, made good friends. Unfortunately, I had to stop after a couple of years because we emigrated to Australia, and Australia didn't offer that in Brisbane at the time when I was, that's where we moved to first. I'm not there anymore, but Brisbane it was, and they didn't offer that degree. So, unfortunately. Those are funny stories, especially that bloody iron thing. Well, at the end, we loaded it in her car, and I said, just, if you don't mind, just take it to the dump it there, which she did. because it wasn't worth keeping. It was just a lump of steel welded together and painted primary colours on the different surfaces. It's absolute rubbish. But we had a good laugh afterwards. That was so funny. If the teachers only knew, they were so up themselves. If the teachers only knew the garbage I was speaking. And then she stood up and clapped. Well done, that's fantastic. Oh my God, and blah, 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 blah. I paint down here and I leave my door open sometimes. And I got up this morning, looked downstairs, and I'd left the door open. Not locked or anything, just the screen door closed, but yeah. Oh, good God. Anybody could have come in, but they didn't, thankfully. Wide open. I need to get a bit more of my... Oh, there it is. I'm doing now is just roughing this up a bit to make it look a bit softer. I'm pretty happy with that colour. I've got to do the feet. I know that looks strange, but I haven't done the feet of the hands yet. So it's a long, long process. So this is going to be hair down to here. It's going to be grey there. I think I'm going to stop now, otherwise I'm going to regret it. If I do too much in one day, I start, in one session, not in one day. If I do too much in one session, I tend to rush, and invariably I'm not happy with that the next day, so. The cutest little jar here, I don't know where I got it from, I think probably in an op shop. I get all these cute little containers. Perfect for putting medium in, they're cute. I must clean it properly. Oh, that'll do. Right, I'll just zoom out so that you can see what it looks like. I've done the fur on the leg, that one leg. There's his foot behind it. She, I think that's a she, but anyway, I'll have to decide. So as long as all that hair took, that's what the rest of it's going to take. So that took 50 minutes. It's about the 4th layer of paint. I think it's turned out all right. I hope you enjoyed today. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.